Your mouth is dry. Your hands won't stay still. In front of you is a wall, a trench parapet, a landing ramp, a ridgeline, a door. And on the other side of it is everything you have ever been afraid of. Any second now, a whistle blows, or a ramp drops, or a voice says a single word, and you will have to stand up and walk straight into it. You have been here before. Not you, exactly. But the soul behind your ribs has done this in 100 different bodies, under 100 flags of the same young country for 2.5 centuries. And in all that time, almost everything about this one moment changes. The weapon in your hands, the cloth on your back, the face of the enemy across the field. One thing never does, and it is the only reason you are about to stand up at all. But to understand the one thing that never changes, you have to go back. All the way back. Past the drones and the body armor, past the jets and the steel, to a frozen valley where this country, and you, nearly died before either one had a name. It is the winter of 1777. You are a soldier in the Continental Army, camped in a place called Valley Forge, and you are losing a war against the cold. There are no barracks. You build your own, a low log hut, chinked with mud, with 12 men crammed around a smoking fire that never quite warms anyone. Your coat is more whole than wool. Many of the men around you have no shoes at all. They wrap their feet in rags, and where they walk in the snow, they leave blood. In your hands is a Brown Bess musket, a smooth bore that takes a dozen motions to load and misses as often as it hits. You are hungry in a way that never stops. And the thing killing the men beside you isn't the British Army, miles away in warm Philadelphia. It's disease. Typhus, dysentery, pneumonia, moving hut to hut in the dark. Roughly 2,000 of you will die in this camp without ever seeing a battle. You wait and you shiver, and you wonder if independence is worth freezing to death for. And still, when the order comes, you stand. Now the fire jumps forward 80 years, and the country you helped build is tearing itself in half. It is the 1860s, and you wear Union blue. In your hands is a Springfield rifle, rifled now, accurate at hundreds of yards, and that accuracy has turned war into slaughter. It fires a soft lead bullet called the mini ball that does terrible things to the human body, and the generals still march men in long straight lines across open fields into the teeth of it. In your haversack is hardtack, a cracker so hard you have to soak it in coffee just to bite it, and even then, it's full of weevils. But the rifle and the cannon are not what you fear most. 2 out of every 3 men who die in this war never fall on a battlefield at all. They die in a cot, shaking with dysentery and fever, in filthy camps where sickness spreads faster than any charge. You have watched more friends die of the runs than of bullets. And still, when the drum beats and the line steps off toward the smoke, you step off with it. Half a century on, they load you onto a ship and send you across an ocean to a war that isn't even yours. It is 1918, and you are a doughboy in the trenches of France. You live in a ditch, mud to the knee, rats the size of cats, water that rots your feet inside your boots, the constant far-off drumming of the guns that never fully stops, day or night. On your hip hangs a gas mask, because the enemy has learned to send death as a green-yellow cloud that sinks into the low ground of the trench and burns the lungs out of anyone too slow to seal his face. You have drilled, putting that mask on in 9 seconds. In the dark, half asleep, because 9 seconds is the difference. Ahead of you is no man's land, a churned gray waste of barbed wire and shell craters and the unburied dead of both sides. You are in the Meuse-Argonne, the largest, bloodiest battle this country has ever fought. More than 1 million Americans thrown into a 47-day meat grinder. In a moment, an officer's going to blow a whistle, and you are going to climb a ladder up out of the only cover you have and walk upright into machine gun fire that scythes men down in rows. Your legs don't want to move. Nobody's do. And still, when the whistle screams, you go over the top. A single generation later, it is their son's turn. Now, the rifle in your hands is an M1 Garand, 8 rounds, semi-automatic, and when the clip runs dry, it spits out with a bright metal ping. You have come off a landing craft onto a beach swept by fire, wet to the waist, 60 pounds on your back, running for a low seawall while the sand around your boots jumps with bullets. And if you make it across that sand, the country beyond it is somehow worse. The hedgerows of Normandy. Ancient earth walls taller than a man and topped with brush. Every single field turned into its own little fortress with a machine gun waiting behind the far hedge. You take one field, you bleed for it. You climb the dirt wall, cross the open, and there's another field exactly like it. And another. All the way across France, hedge after hedge after hedge. The weapons are faster now, the scale of it enormous. Millions of men, a whole continent on fire. But the ground still has to be taken one terrified man at a time. And still, when your sergeant says move, you move. Then comes a war almost nobody back home will remember at all. You are on a nameless, frozen hill in Korea. And this time, the cold is a weapon by itself. It drops so far below freezing that the oil in your rifle turns to glue, that the ground is too hard to dig, that a wound you'd survive in summer can kill you in an hour. You fight uphill against waves of an enemy in the dark, your breath freezing on your collar, your feet going numb inside your boots. And here is the part that cuts deepest. While you freeze on this ridge, back home, there are no headlines, no parades being planned, no country holding its breath. They will call this the Forgotten War, and they will mean it. The men who died here will slip out of the national memory almost before the guns go cold. You are giving everything for people who will struggle to find this place on a map. And still, knowing that, when the line has to hold, you hold it. 20 years pass, and this time, they don't wait for you to volunteer. They draft you. You are a grunt in Vietnam, barely out of high school, and your war has a clock on it. 365 days, 1 year exactly, and every man in your unit is counting his down on a short timer calendar. In your hands is an M16, black and light and new, and you have learned to keep it spotless because in the wet, it will jam, and a jam out here is death. Above you, a Huey comes in low over the tree line, rotor wash flattening the elephant grass, and drops you into heat so thick it feels like breathing water. The jungle rots your skin, swallows your friends, and hides your enemy completely. There is no front line here, no beach, no ridge to take, just a green wall that erupts without warning and goes silent again in seconds, leaving men down in the mud and no one to shoot back at. You count your days. You pray the number reaches 0 before your luck does. And still, when the point man freezes and the tree line opens up, you do your job. Then the war changes shape almost past recognition. It is 1991, and you are in the desert, buttoned inside an M1 Abrams tank, part of a machine so fast and so overwhelming that the entire ground war is over in about 100 hours. You cross the border into enemy territory in a howling sandstorm, thermal sights glowing green in the dark, engaging targets before they even know you are there. It is done, almost before your fear can catch up to it. This is supposed to be the clean war, the quick one, the one that goes right. But in the black hours before the order comes, sealed inside 40 tons of steel, mouth dry, palms sweating on the controls, waiting for the single word that sends you rolling forward into the unknown, you feel exactly what the man in the frozen log hut felt, and the man on the fire step in France, and the boy in the landing craft. 200 years of technology stand between you and them. The wait in the dark is identical. And still, when the command crackles over the net, you go. And then, into a new century, the enemy becomes something you can't even see. You are in Iraq, in Afghanistan, wrapped in heavy body armor that saves lives and breaks backs, riding in an armored truck called an MRAP, built for one reason: to survive the thing you fear most. Not a soldier, a bomb. A buried wire, a pressure plate, an artillery shell hidden in the trash at the roadside, the IED waiting patiently in the dirt for the weight of your truck. There is no line to charge, no whistle, no beach to storm. There is only the road ahead, and the dread, and the knowing that the ground itself might come apart under you at any second. A patch of fresh dirt, a dead animal, a pile of rocks. Any of it the trigger. You scan the shoulders of the road until your eyes ache. And when your tour finally ends, they fly you home to your family, and then, a year or two later, they send you back. Again. And for some of you, again after that. Different country, same fear, the same goodbyes at the same airport. And still, every single time the ramp of that truck drops onto that road, you step out. 250 years, the musket became a rifle, became a machine that thinks. Wool rags became Kevlar. The Brown Bess, the Springfield, the Garand, the M16, all of it obsolete, one after another. Each war's cutting edge becoming the next war's museum piece. The uniforms changed. The enemy's face changed. The very shape of war changed, from lines in an open field to a bomb buried in a road. Almost nothing survived the journey from that frozen valley to that dusty road. But you did. The soul in the chest did. And so did the one thing this whole video has been circling. It was never the flag. In the final second before you stand up, you are not thinking about the flag, or the general, or the speech somebody made, or the country 1,000 miles away. That's not what gets a terrified man up off the ground and into the fire. What gets you up is the man beside you, the one freezing in the same hut, the one soaked in the same trench, the one who shared his last hardtack, his last cigarette, his last dry pair of socks. You stand up because he is standing up, and because if you don't, he doesn't make it home. That is the thing that never changed. Not the weapon, the fear in your gut, and the man on your left, and the refusal to be the reason he dies. That's the whole secret. Across every war this country has ever fought, the soldier was never really fighting for an idea in that last moment. He was fighting for the person next to him. The fear was always the same fear. The love was always the same love. Only the date on the calendar and the rifle in the hands ever changed. They were farm boys and factory boys and drafted kids and volunteers. Freezing, sick, terrified, most of them wishing they were anywhere else. And in every generation, when the whistle blew, they stood up anyway for each other. That is the unbroken line that runs from Valley Forge to today, through every one of those bodies you wore. It is the truest thing about the American soldier, and it has not changed in 2.5 centuries. Rest. Easy. Every version of you did the hardest thing there is. You stood up, and you did it so the man beside you wouldn't have to do it alone. Next, you'll stop living all of these lives at once and live just one of them, minute by minute, from the first breath to the last, starting with the ramp dropping on a beach called Omaha,